So it's that time of the year again where we want to talk about fantasy football. Just like last season, I decided to create another set of rankings. Subscribers of my Patreon account, located in the link below, can get full access so you can use all these for all of your upcoming drafts. In this video, we're going to talk about running backs. Before we do though, let's go over the rules so that we're all on the same page. To begin, each of these videos will be based on a 12-team league that features half-point PPR scoring. The roster that I'll be using will be the one listed at the top. A quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, flex, a kicker, and a defense. If you have different settings than the ones listed for this video, check out my link below. I have a number of downloadable guides with all the formats listed on your screen. With that being said, let's talk about the top tier running backs. First, you have Christian McCaffrey, Dalvin Cook, Derrick Henry, and Alvin Kamara. If you're lucky enough to pick in the top 4, obviously take one of these guys. You've just walked into a home run pick. McCaffrey should be a monster in PPR leagues, and as you can see by the auction value listed at the far right, I'm more than willing to drop over 40% of my dollars in order to grab him. It wouldn't shock me if he had over 2,200 total yards a season. Now, Derrick Henry is one of those guys that think will get a lot of value by simply having a guy like Julio Jones on his team. Teams stacked the box with 8 or more defenders at a rate of 28% last season. I think that it will go down with a guy like Jones on his team. For a better understanding of his skill set, definitely check out the video I created on Henry on this very channel. Going to the next tier, we have Barkley, Elliott, Jones, and Taylor, and they should all be considered at the end of the first round. One thing to note about this tier is that all these players are getting overdrafted in my opinion. Jonathan Taylor is way overvalued based on the injuries to his quarterback and then his guard Quinn Nelson, who's one of the best guards in all of football. Yes, there's obvious talent, but I just don't think he's worth a top 7 pick. If he fell to number 12, which is where I have him, I'd have no problem taking him in my draft. In my third tier, we have a lot of highly valuable guys that are getting taken in the second round. Ekler and Chubb are both very talented. One thing to note about Chubb is that he's currently being overdrafted relative to his average draft position. In my opinion, he's one of the best pure running backs in the NFL. However, the lack of receptions and simply having Kareem Hunt sitting behind him are my 2 major worries. Now, he did break a tackle at a ridiculous rate last season, which is why he created so many yards even outside his injuries. But again, if we're talking fantasy value, I think there are better options, especially if he goes in the middle of the first round. Another guy that I really like this season is Antonio Gibson. I think he's a top 10 player, and I can easily see him being even better than where I have him getting taken. However, since JD McKissic will steal some of his targets, and not having Alex Smith as his checkdown thrower, he might not produce as highly as we all expect. Even so, I think the dude will be a stud in pretty much every format. The final person on this screen that I want to talk about is Deandre Swift. He's very underrated this year, and I think he'll easily put up 1,300 total yards in the Lions offense. He showed a lot of promise last season. Moving on to tier 4, we have one of my favorite running backs in Chris Carson. Now personally, I really hate that he's this low in my rankings. However, the injury concerns and the running back by committee approach might be more of an issue under Shane Waldron. With that being said though, I have no problem using an early to mid 3rd round pick on him in your draft. He can easily rush for over 1,000 yards and pick up another 200 on screens. We just have to hope he stays healthy. In this tier, we still have a lot of very talented running back 2s. The most underrated guy I see on your screen is Daryl Henderson. The Rams didn't sign a veteran, so I think even with his injury concerns, he should be in for a big season. He has a very high upside, just simply based on his speed and his contact balance. I did a video on him recently, so definitely check that out. In tier 5, this is where I think you can get a lot of value for your picks. If you grab one of these guys as a low-end running back 2 or a high-value flex target, you can't really go wrong. Mike Davis and David Johnson both can be solid players in their respective schemes. Now, I'm not saying you need to bet the farm or overdraft these players, but if they're available in round 5 or round 6 in your half PPR 12-team draft, go ahead and pull the trigger. Finally, let's look at tier 6. These guys can all be used as solid flex and matchup type players. Now, I know seeing James Robinson on your screen might come as a surprise. I actually really like James Robinson as a running back, but I just don't trust a team that drafts a running back in the first round who will likely steal a bunch of his targets. I really hope I'm wrong, but I likely won't go after him in any of my leagues. Now, overall, the running back position this year has a lot of top tier talent mixed in with a whole lot of RB2 type players. I'm in the opinion that you can easily grab 2 of these later round guys, say one in each of tier 3 and tier 4, and focus your ammo on another position. If you do get one of those top 4 picks though, congratulations, needless to say, you just got your franchise running back. Outside of that though, I'm more or less going to roll with a weak running back group this year and just look out for matchups. Find defenses that have terrible defensive lines. Look out for the Seahawks, the Texans, or the Falcons, or even the Jaguars, and I'm going to play hot hand going into those matchups. Regardless, these rankings should give you some general food for thought. Now, in my next video, I'll go over my favorite wide receivers and who I like this season. Again, all these rankings are available in my Excel and my Patreon. Also, if you do me a favor and like and subscribe to this channel below, as well as follow me on Twitter at SamuelRGold.